and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Budapest. I hope everybody is having a healthy and good weekend so far. This is a members chat class. Everybody is welcome to watch. Hello members. Hi Maja, Maksud, Bekjan, Angelina, Musafir. Good to see so many of you. Sammy, Rajvir. This lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Please check us out there. And for the general version of the exam, check us out at gieltshelp.com. Today's lesson in this class is questions and answers clearing doubts. That means hopefully giving you a clear idea about the IELTS exam and clarifying any concerns that you may have. So members, this is your chance to ask me questions, whatever comes to mind. And of course, I will do my best to give you the right answers. While you're thinking about your questions, just a quick peek at our websites. This is the academic website here with a blue background. You can click that big red button to become our premium member. And this is our general IELTS website here. Click that big red button to join us there. You can download our apps, link them to your web accounts, Academic IELTS Help for the aehelp.com account and General IELTS Help for the gieltshelp.com account. You can link those up. Members, the questions will be first come, first serve. Of course, if some of them overlap, then I'll try to link them. So go ahead and type in your questions. I'll be waiting for them here. If you have a question for me as a viewer about our products, you can always send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. If you have a question, members, you can, and I don't have time or I miss your question, you can always send it to me by email. Also, today, questions and answers right now, and then in the next class today, in about 90 minutes, that everybody can join, we'll have speaking part 3. Okay, speaking part 3. All right, so let's get into today's questions. I see there are some already coming up from our members. Let's take a look at these and go step by step. If you're curious, somebody else probably is also. Okay, Maja is asking, Maja Besednyak is asking one specific question. Is it okay to use offspring as a synonym for children in essays or speaking? I've heard that offspring is often as an insult in many English-speaking places. Okay, Maja. Yeah, it's a specific question. It's a good one. So Maja is asking, how can we use the word offspring? It's valid. It's a good question. Okay. So first of all, you need to know the definition of offspring, okay? So the word offspring is a scientific vocabulary meaning the spawn of a parent or parents. Okay, some animals or some types of eukaryote single-celled organisms, they're asexual, means they don't need a pair, they can reproduce on their own. And of course, many of the multicellular organisms like humans, we have a pair, a male-female. It's called sexual, so that's the sexual-asexual difference. But we all produce offspring. So offspring is a scientific vocabulary. And Maja, just like with any other scientific vocabulary, it is important to use it correctly. Scientific vocabulary in some contexts, Maja, can seem insulting. Okay? So, therefore, the word offspring, as with other scientific vocabulary, is well used when writing or stating academic information, but you shouldn't really start sentences with but. In this case, it's an exception. But in friendly and colloquial types of writing and conversation, using scientific words can come across as cold and insulting. So, if you're talking to your friend about their children and you call their children offspring, yeah, that's a bit awkward, okay? But if you're writing an academic essay about whether or not humans should have one or more children, and you refer to them as offspring, specifically in a scientific context of a larger population, then that's absolutely okay. You would read that type of information in a sociology class or in a human geography class just the same. It's not meant to insult anyone. It's just the technical expression stating the next generation of a parent. Okay, so the genetic inheritors and spawn, that's the other word that we use, of course, that I put here, spawn of the parents. Does that make sense? Maja? So yeah, it's important to understand words, and it's important to know when you're using a scientific word, and you have to be sensitive using scientific words correctly. Doctors are very careful about this, as I'm sure many of you are aware, okay? So for speaking, be careful. For academic task 1, task 2, scientific words are okay. All right? It's an interesting question, Maja. Thank you for asking that. And that definitely does connect to your score as being natural and coherent, okay? Knowing these differences. Now, of course, the more you read in English, scientific journals and so on, the better you get at this kind of differentiation, so distinguishing or separating scientific and non-scientific words. Now, Maja, just one more quick note on this, and for the other students as well. Conversely, when you use colloquial expressions in writing or speaking, like let's use the common idiomatic expression wanna and gonna, okay, meaning want to and going to, you have to be careful in the inverse. I'm going to say it like that, meaning they sound awkward in scientific discussion, but okay in everyday conversation. So these would be okay to use in your speaking interview, but definitely don't use them in your task 2 academic essay or your task 1 essay. Okay, I wouldn't suggest it for sure. All right, but in your speaking it would be okay. All right, Maksud has the next question. Okay, Maksud is asking, why shouldn't we separate the body paragraph in task 1? Okay, Maksud, I'm going to give you a really simple, elegant answer for that one, okay? So the question, so this, I think, Maksud, this is the right question to ask here. When should I separate the body paragraph in task 1 academic writing? Okay, the answer, Maksud, is only separate the body paragraph if you have 2 or more. It's very rare to have more, but I've seen it. 2 or more charts or diagrams. if you only have one diagram or chart, you should have only one body paragraph. Now, if that wasn't your question, Maksud, so that's that's what it sounds like you're asking me. But if you're asking me why I shouldn't separate the overview and the introduction, so this is question 2, an alternate one. Why do I not need to separate the overview? Because the overview is not a body paragraph, Maksud. Okay, the overview is an introduction. So why do I not need to separate the overview and introduction into 2 paragraphs? The answer is because they are both the introduction. Okay, so think about it simply this way. In a short 200-word essay, 150 to 200, it's minimum 150. In a short 150 to 200-word essay, the 1 or 2 sentence paraphrase of the question with details plus the most observable feature, in rare cases a couple of features, are really just the introduction to your expository essay. Okay? It is awkward to separate these into 2 short paragraphs. All right, so hopefully that answers your question, Maksud. If I missed something there, let me know if I didn't answer your question there. If I missed it, but that's I think that's what you're asking me. So hopefully that answers your question. Does that answer it, Maksud? Yeah. So overview and introduction, it's both the introduction. Overview is a synonym for the word introduction. Okay. If I give you an overview of my city right now, I'm basically introducing my city to you. So if I give you an overview of Budapest, Budapest is the capital city of Hungary, situated in the Carpathian Basin on the 2 sides of the Danube River. It is historically known for, I'm basically giving you an introduction to Budapest. What am I doing? Giving you an overview of Budapest. Okay? Got it? All right. Same idea for the graph. Okay? All right. Lots of questions. Great. We'll keep moving. I'll try to be as fast as I can while giving you clear answers, okay? I don't want to leave you kind of with half ideas. That's not effective. All right. Rajveer is asking the next question. Sometimes I find it difficult to accurately visualize a situation. How can I improve it? Very good question, Rajveer. Okay. So Rajveer says, or is asking, how can I improve accurately visualizing information? Okay, good question, Rajveer. Visualization is a technique that can be developed throughout our entire lifetime. Okay, a lot of brilliant people, scientists, artists, work on their skill of visualizing, computer programmers, for many, many years. And it's a skill that is beautiful. It's our greatest processing sensory input, so definitely work on it. Actively think about it, visualize, close your eyes, okay? Take steps to do that. Meditation, of course, Rajveer, as I'm sure you know, some types of meditation, I should say, certain types of meditation, use and teach a lot of visualization. So research online. Okay, that's my simple answer is research various visualization techniques online and from others, like certain types of meditation. Some of these are guided meditation. Okay. Another one, Rajveer, is focus to not only see still images when you visualize, but create moving images, videos in your mind with smooth transitions. Okay, that takes a lot of work. Our mind tends to like and jump around to a lot of different ideas and pictures. But what you want to do is you want to kind of train and force your mind to move smoothly and transition. So see yourself walking on the beach, leaning down, picking up seashells, observing the seashell, throwing it back into the ocean before you walk into the sea and go for a swim. So don't just see the seashells, then suddenly see people sitting on the beach, then suddenly see a boat out in the ocean, then suddenly get into swimming in the ocean. So try to have transitions between your visualizations, okay? Include yourself. So, of course, be a part of what you see, Rajveer. So be a part of what you are visualizing. That's very important. And I'm going to stop there, Rajveer, because I could just spend the entire week talking about this one topic of how you can accurately visualize, okay? See details, okay? Be a part of what you're visualizing, see details. So focus to see details. All right. So that's it in a nutshell. We have visualization techniques on our websites, of course, in the interactive course, and a couple videos talk more about it as well. So you can check those out on the website. Okay, visualization is an extremely useful tool for exams, as I'm sure you can imagine, and in many other parts of life as well. All right. Okay. So let me keep going, and Rajveer, it's a very good point. People should spend time to enhance their visualization skills. Reading, of course, is a big one, and I do a lot of it as well. Hemant is asking suggestions on writing an informal letter for general IELTS exam. Hemant, that's a really big question. Okay, so Hemant is asking. What are suggestions for writing informal letters for general IELTS? Okay. So my first answer here is please check out the videos on General IELTS Help channel, YouTube channel. That's our other channel, and website. Which is, of course, up there. It's gieltshelp.com. Okay, so that's my first suggestion, Hemant. And the second point that I can give you, Hemant, for the general IELTS, okay, I'll give you a little bit more because I know you're really adamant on this question and you keep coming back to it, is task 1, writing, especially informal letters, are what's called narrative writing. Okay, meaning narration, so storytelling. Okay, you're basically telling a story to your reader. A new city that you moved to, a new house that you bought, inviting your friend on vacation, something like that. So you're basically storytelling. So what you want to do, if you haven't done this, are research the techniques used in narrative writing. Okay, there are a lot of techniques. Research literary tools. Like metaphors, similes. Similes. Why it's not picking that up? Similes, onomatopoeias, cacophonies. So there's a lot of different ones. Okay, so research those. Otherwise, it's a big, big question, Haman. So there's a lot there. That's why I'm suggesting for you to check out these two sources for a lot more information on that. But most importantly, you have to understand narrative writing skills because it's a narrative essay, task 1, letters. Okay, it's basically what you're looking at. All right, so let's keep going. Bekjan is saying, I'm often confused with using whereby and thereby in sentences. You and me both, Bekjan. Whereby and thereby are somewhat synonymous. They're both showing cause and effect, Bekjan. So Bekjan is asking, when do I use whereby and thereby in speech or writing, right? Okay. So the answer is these words show cause and effect relationships with the concept of location, right? That makes sense. Where is asking for location. So where is it, right? And there it is. So think about the concept of there and for that reason there. For where that reason, okay? Kind of think about it in that style or in that context, okay? So it's where you give deeper explanations. So the words show cause and effect relationship with the concept of location, providing an alternative explanation for the audience. Okay, I'll give you an example sentence here. So, many people believe that eating ginseng every day improves their health, thereby extending their life expectancy. Okay. So here, Bekjan, you can see that it's a good question. They're really nice connective words to use, and definitely they're used in more advanced types of communication. So many people believe that eating ginseng every day improves their health. Cause and effect, right? Extending their life expectancy. Also a deeper explanation of improving their health. So extending life expectancy deepens the explanation for improving health and also reflects a cause and effect relationship. Now, the location here, so there or where, is not necessarily physical. It doesn't have to be a physical location, okay? It can be conceptual in this case as well. So quite tricky, but a very good question. And whereby is used similarly, okay? Let me think of an example here for whereby. Scientists have shown that a sudden boom in populations of wildlife So scientists have shown that a sudden boom in population of wildlife later leads to competition and increased mortality, whereby the offspring are forced to fight for limited food supply. Okay, so here I got a little bit clever and went back to the word offspring that Maja was asking about to show you the scientific application of this word again. So scientists have shown that a sudden boom in populations of wildlife later leads to competition and increased mortality, mortality meaning death here, where the offspring, whereby is what I meant to write there, not where, because it's a cause and effect relationship here. Mortality whereby the offspring are forced to fight for limited food supply, okay? So it's the result of that increased population boom. So a very good question, Begjun. Tricky to use. Be careful with it. Make sure you know that you're using it accurately. Otherwise, it could be quite confusing to your reader. Does that make sense? So there's your two examples of using thereby and whereby in the cause and effect context, okay? And there's another example, Maja, of where you can use the word offspring in correct expression or writing, okay? So there you go. Two birds with one stone there. All right. Okay, let's keep going here. Lots and lots of questions, and I'll try to get to as many of them as I can today, okay? All right. Pavan is asking, will I be penalized for using words which I have already used in task 1? Okay. That's an interesting question, Pavan. You're asking actually quite an interesting question here. IELTS, in some sense, technically doesn't have negative scores. So let me explain this here for you a little bit. So Pavan is asking, will I be penalized for repeating words in task 2 that I use in task 1? The simple answer, Pavan, and the simple answer is no. Okay. However, you will not earn scores. Okay. So there are basically two elements which can affect your score. Okay. One are making mistakes where you are penalized, so you lose marks. The other is not earning marks, okay? So this is how you have to think of your overall performance on the exam. So you kind of bring up an interesting point here, Pavan, okay? So when you think about your IELTS score, consider these two key components. Okay, A, making mistakes, such as grammar mistakes and spelling mistakes. Coherence mistakes are the biggest ones, will lower your score. Okay, and B, not presenting higher level, or we could say advanced grammar vocabulary, and ideas will keep you from earning scores. Therefore, and this is the $1 million question here, students, or the $1 million tip here, quote unquote, for the IELTS exam, you have to find your balance between not making mistakes and expressing your maximum use of the English language, okay? So therefore, you need to present, and to do that, of course, you have to practice a lot at home. So you need to present your maximum level of English use and communication, English and communication use, okay, meaning grammar, vocabulary, and ideas, while minimizing your mistakes. That's the trick, okay? So that's really what you have to do. So if you're repeating the words, Pavan, in your task 2 that you used in task 1, you're not going to lose any marks, but you're not going to gain any marks. And they're definitely looking for broad lexical resource and broad range of grammar. And that's why for task 1, you should aim to write a little bit more than 150 words for those students who are going for those higher bands, like 7 and higher, 7, 5, 8. And you need to write a little bit more than 250 words so that you can show your range of ideas, grammar, lexical resource, and you want to avoid repetition as much as possible. Repetition does not work in your favor. Okay, you're not necessarily being penalized for that, but you're not gaining marks, and that's the problem. Okay, so you're not gaining marks. It's like if you're in a race, Pavan, and you slow down. You're not going backwards, but you're not going ahead of the people in front of you in the race. Okay, that's the problem. So I hope that makes sense, Pavan. Okay. Kurush, Nia, welcome to our group of members. Ask away, and hopefully I'll get to your question. Okay. All right. So Pavan says, got it, sir. I usually repeat the word evident. Use other words, Pavan. Evident has other words that you can use. So students, when, and that's another, so Pavan, I'm going to address that real quick. So Pavan says, got it. I repeat the word evident, which of course you could paraphrase as clear, obvious, observable. Okay, so, and there are other ways as well. Students, when you find yourself repeating words in your speech or in your writing, work really hard to consciously and actively paraphrase and avoid repetition. It will make your speech more beautiful, not just for the IELTS, but for everyday life as well, okay? Teaching is a great way because teachers are forced to paraphrase often so that it helps others to understand. It's one of the big reasons that we paraphrase in our communication, to help people understand the same concept from different lexical resources. Okay, so that's just a very important point, and that will definitely improve your band score. Okay, so to improve your band score, work hard to consciously paraphrase redundant words in your vocab, in your diction, meaning your style of speech. Okay. All right. So far, so good, students. So far, so good. Let's keep going here. Let's get to some other questions. Some really good questions. Always, I'm very pleased by the quality and importance of many of the questions that are being asked. Okay. All right. Michael Fan says, "Sir, do you have any recommendation of books? Can you tell me the specific names of books or some authors' names?" Michael, so Michael's asking any recommendation of books to read. Okay. So Michael, here is my answer for this question. It's a tricky question that you're asking me. Okay. So read books that interest you. Okay. That's the most important. The brain learns much better from content which it finds interesting. Okay. So that's the most important. Be interested. Now, for improving your academic IELTS or your TOEFL score, certainly you want to engage in literature which focuses on academic topics. Okay. So, of course, for academic IELTS, read scientific texts, especially high school texts in English. You can find many of these online and in used bookstores when you are in an English-speaking country. I know not all of you are, but if you're in an English-speaking country and you go to some of your local used bookshops or secondhand bookstores, you can find like grade 12 sociology, history textbooks, and you can buy them for just a couple dollars, and they're great to just pick up and read through some of the pages and content of those. So that's what I would recommend you do. But for your everyday reading, Michael, just read a book that interests you. If you like murder mystery, if you like fantasy, romance, whatever your genre, pick a book you find exciting and interesting and then begin reading it, and that will help you. Okay? All right. So Neha says, "Sir, one question. You take so many live sessions for academic task 1, but there are no sessions for general task 1, I think." Neha, our general IELTS task 1 is in our generalieltshelp.com. So here is an interesting point that I'm going to make based on Neha's question. Okay, so this is Adrian's rhetorical question. Okay. I'm asking a question that I'm going to answer for you. Okay. So, why do we separate our content for general and academic IELTS? Okay. Whereby, here's a whereby, Beckjohn, whereby most other companies, maybe all other companies, most other companies don't. Okay. So this was when we built our company, and although I'm the head of the company and the face of the company, there are other people that work with me. It's not possible to produce all this as one person. It's simply not enough time. We discussed a lot on, okay, should we do what other companies do, or we just combine general and academic, or should we take a more challenging approach but a better approach, which is separating all of our products into academic and general. And looking at the material, we decided that logically, it makes sense to separate these two components. Now, hopefully, in the near future, our company will get big enough that we can dedicate equal amounts of time and energy into both of these components. Of course, that will depend on your support as well. And that way, it will become the most efficient company in the world for IELTS training, simply because students who learn for general IELTS are usually a different group of people than those who learn for academic IELTS. Demographically, they're different groups of people, Neha. So people who learn for general IELTS most of the time are looking for immigration. They're usually people who have established families. They're most often in the closer to 30 and 50 age category. As where with the academic IELTS, it's usually individuals, often without families, who are looking to study in a university in an English-speaking country or in a university in their own country that needs proof of English. And the two components, the writing, as you're asking me for the task one, and the reading are significantly different enough that it's really confusing for each of these groups of learners, or what we would call the target audience, to mix these together. And we had a lot of interesting feedback from students in the past who were really confused by the materials of other companies that don't separate these out. Okay? And a lot of students had really disappointing experiences where they went into their exam with a lot of false information. And there's different strategies that work for different components as well. So hopefully, does that make sense, members, what we're going for here, what we're trying to achieve as a company, separating general from the academic? It takes years and years for us to do this, but eventually it will be to everybody's advantage, okay? As long as there are these two target groups. So the answer is the target audience of general and academic IELTS are usually quite different groups of people, demographically speaking, with very different goals. And it's actually disappointing that other companies haven't done this, okay? British Council should do this. IDP should do this. I think it's kind of taking a shortcut, but not a useful shortcut, to throw general and academic students together, okay? So demographically speaking, with very different goals, right? Immigration versus study. So very different goals, all right? Okay, let me keep going here. So that for all of you students, make sure you know what you need and focus on that module, okay? All right. Let me keep going here a little bit. All right, Roshni is asking, sir, in speaking part 3, my fluency goes down while thinking of ideas for tough questions. That happens, Roshni, as long as you're thinking of ideas of what to say and not how to say it, you're okay. But if you're stopping because you can't think of the words or the grammar, then of course you start losing band scores, or you're not getting band scores, as I said earlier, okay? So for the last remaining 10 minutes of this class, I'm just going to verbally answer your questions instead of typing them up. If it's not clear what I'm saying, then follow up with an email for me, okay? So Roshni, in part 3, it's natural and normal to spend more time thinking about answers because the questions are more difficult. As long as you're thinking of what you want to say, the content, you're okay. If you're starting to think more about vocabulary and grammar, then of course that will impact your score negatively. All right? Hassan is saying, from the IELTS teacher perspective, can you shed some light on issues behind the scenes that IELTS candidates cannot grasp for the exam? Wow, that's a very intelligent question, Hassan. One of the most common issues, Hassan, that I notice, which students don't realize, is that the IELTS is not simply a test of English, okay? It's the International English Language Testing System there is a hidden agenda or a hidden message there as well, which means that the exam is also measuring thinking, like critical and logical thinking. And of course, because it's a timed exam, so you don't have all day to do it, you have 3 hours to do it, so 2 hours or 2.5 hours for the reading, writing, listening, and about 15 minutes for the speaking. Because it's a timed exam, it also is testing how quickly the candidates can think. So how quickly, how well, and all of that in English. So that's what needs to be addressed. Also, Hassan, the other point, an important one, a big one, that a lot of students don't realize is that technique is much more important for high band scores in the IELTS than memorizing catchphrases or templates, as I've said in the past. So a lot of students think that, oh, if I remember these few sentences and use them and trick out my language, I'll suddenly move from a 5.5 to a 6.5, but you won't. If you're looking at a video on YouTube that's got 5 million views, which is teaching you 5 words to learn, then there are 5 million other IELTS students learning those 5 words. Believe me, the examiners will catch on very quickly and will not give any extra marks for that. So students need to know this and not pay attention to that and focus more on technique. Okay? So IELTS is more than just a test of English. Technique is really important. Michael Fan says, sir, sometimes I can't stop translating English into Chinese because I'm from China. How to stop doing this thinking and cultivating English thinking? Thank you, sir. Very good question, Michael. So how do I think in English and not translate from one language to the other? Very tough question. It takes a lot of practice. Okay, there's no simple answer for that, Michael. It just basically comes with practice, with experience. The more time you spend speaking in English, the more time you spend reading English, the better you will get at this. Now, the fastest way, Michael, that this transition happens where people start to think in the language that they're learning is when they live in that community. So the best way, Michael, for anybody who has the chance to do this is to spend time in that community. So if you can spend 6 months, 2 months, a year in an English-speaking part of the world, that will really help you to transition into thinking in English. Of course, it will help with a lot of other parts of language as well. Okay. All right. Michael, I'm just going to skip your next question because I want to get to some other students as well. Just send me that one about words and phrases in writing. Okay, read a lot. That's my short answer for that. Angelina Coelho says, sir, because of the pandemic, my IELTS exam was turned from paper to computer-based. Is it too different? I am worried about listening when it lacks the final 10 minutes to transfer. Yeah. Angelina, definitely there are some big differences, okay? The main one is our brain works quite a bit differently when we're working on a computer versus on paper. I don't know about you guys, I've done both. I work a lot on computers, I work a lot on paper, and I know that my brain works quite differently when I'm using pen and paper versus using a computer. Angelina, the biggest one is touch typing, okay? So any of you who are now forced into the computer-based exam, and I will write this one down. So if you have to take the computer-based exam, be sure to spend much time improving your English touch typing skills. Okay, there's a free piece of software that you can find online. It's excellent. I've used it. I love it. They don't even sponsor me. I'm just telling you this really from my own experience. It's called Rapid Typing Tutor. It has like a a dolphin logo. Okay. So like the animal, the dolphin, the sea mammal. So rapid typing tutor, you can improve your typing and English vocabulary and grammar all at the same time. Okay, so that's what I recommend, all right? Rapid typing tutor. Learn to touch type. Touch typing, Angelina, of course, means that you're looking at the screen while you're typing, so you're not looking at your fingers, okay? It's a very important skill in today's world and in life, students, to be able to touch type. Look at the screen while you're typing. Just take my case. There is no way that I could teach you these live classes if I had to look at my fingers while I'm typing. In fact, I'm telling you one idea, I'm typing another, and I'm looking at the screen and the other screen at the same time. So you can do a lot with practice, okay? You can do a lot with practice, but it takes a lot of practice. So that's my advice, Angelina, touch type, okay, touch type. All right. Hemant says, I'm not that adamant, but actually I find it really confusing while writing a letter, especially in formal letters. Hemant, it's good to be adamant. That wasn't meant to insult you. Don't take that as an insult. It's good to be adamant. Adamant means persuasive, or you're keeping at it, okay? Formal letters have simpler format, and we can play with the vocab. Yeah, Hemant, just write me an email and use the editing services. So write an informal letter and use the editing services on the website. You might be doing a much better job than you realize. So if you spend that $9 and send us an informal letter with the question, you can send me the question in the email, so you don't have to pay for it. Okay, it's 6 cents a word. And I'll give you detailed feedback on what's going on and what your band score is, and then you'll see, are you really doing a bad job on those informal letters or not? Okay. Is that Olena or Olega? I can't read the Cyrillic. I'm so sorry. So any students who are Russian or using Cyrillic language, please just tell me your name. I feel so bad not being able to read it. So she is saying, hello, sir. Thank you for your teaching and explanations. I would like to know and understand clearly true, false, not given questions in reading. Those might be rather confusing. There is a great video for you on the YouTube channel. It's a full video that explains true, false, not given. So please search our channel for the true, false, not given videos, okay? They're also on the website, and that will guide you step by step on the right strategy. In a nutshell, you have to use an if this, then that computer logic strategy for those true, false, not given questions to get them correct. Okay, so, but just search our channel for true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given in the reading. And there'll be a couple of videos there in HD pre-recorded videos that will help you. Of course, even more videos on the website. Okay. All right, Kurash, again, welcome. Kurash says, thanks for your productive streams. I'm paraphrasing my speech all the time while I'm talking, but my idea is the same. Do I lose marks because of repeating the idea? Yeah, Kurash, you don't want to repeat ideas, even if you're paraphrasing too often. What you want to do is give more detail. Okay, so go further down the rabbit hole. Paraphrasing is good. It's a great first step. It should help you towards more specific ideas. When you're paraphrasing, Kurash, think about questions in your mind, like what, why, how, where, when, what's a specific example of this. So keep following the train of thought to get further details in what you're expressing or writing. Okay, students, that's all the time I have for today. Hopefully I got through a lot of your questions in this 1 hour. They were brilliant, by the way. I loved them. There were a lot of great questions there. Thank you so much. Of course, I'll host more of these Q&A classes. We do one every 2 weeks. If you find that's not enough, let me know. If I get a lot of requests, then maybe we'll put in one more Q&A class. or we'll make it weekly. A couple months back, I asked, you guys said once every 2 weeks is enough. So if you feel that it's not, let me know. We have more members these days, okay? Coming up in 30 minutes, speaking part 3, practice and strategy. Everybody will be able to join. I hope I was able to clear many of your doubts for the exam. Have an awesome rest of your day. Hopefully, I'll see you soon. To all of our viewers, if you're looking for lots of explanations and strategies, check out our websites and our interactive courses there. Much love to all of you. See you shortly. Bye-bye.